So Rick Sanchez really went all in on this one, calling out the neocons and the idiot media over the Trump Putin meltdown, right?
Yeah, absolutely. His tone was unapologetically direct, and it really caught your attention.
Exactly. He basically accused those war hawks of prolonging the war in Ukraine just for their own pockets. It's like profit before peace.
And his point about the media was pretty sharp. I mean, he wasn't mincing words when he said they were like twisting the narrative on the Trump Putin summit.
Right. He basically argued
Yeah.
that instead of giving serious thought to the summit, the mainstream media painted it as well unserious and stage managed.
Yeah, it almost feels as if they were trying to downplay any genuine diplomatic effort by framing it as just another media circus.
Exactly. And there's that like underlying theme where he links neocon agendas with a thirst for war profiteering. It's that classic playbook of keeping conflicts alive for financial gain, right?
Definitely. It's like he was saying, stop, just think, why would anyone want a prolonged conflict if there isn't a cash cow behind it?
True. And he challenges the established narrative, suggesting that the summits or these diplomatic interactions are less about resolving issues and more about controlling the story.
It's interesting because while some might see a need for tough rhetoric, there's also a risk of oversimplifying something that's really multifaceted.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, his message is very black and white at times. Neocons are the bad guys, and the media is just another cog in their machine.
And that's where I sort of push back a little, right? I feel like while it's a powerful narrative, compressing complex international events into profit and power grabs might leave out a lot of essential nuances.
That's a fair critique. But you have to admit, his straightforward language resonates with a lot of people who are, well, tired of what they see as a sanitized version of political events.
Yeah, it's like he's tapping into that countercultural sentiment, the idea that mainstream narratives are just too convenient for those in power.
Right. And it's not just the narrative of war hawks. He's also spotlighting how media bias shapes public perception of high stakes diplomatic maneuvers like the Trump Putin summit.
Exactly. His use of phrases like idiot media really underscores his frustration with how critical issues are being rendered into a sort of spectacle rather than a matter of serious policy.
Totally. And it's compelling because it makes you question who really benefits from these conflicts. I mean, if you think about it, isn't it kind of obvious that financial interests often override genuine political intent?
Right, it's the classic case of vested interests shaping our political discourse. Yet, by framing everything so starkly, do you think he risks alienating those who might be looking for a more balanced discussion?
Possibly. But his audience seems to appreciate that raw delivery. It's like, for many, this isn't just analysis. It's a wake up call to see through the media's spin.
And his timing was like spot on too. This came out when public trust in traditional media and political elites was already pretty shaken.
Absolutely. And he draws a clear line between like the orchestrated media narrative and the real motives behind the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. It's almost as if he's saying, wake up, folks, there's more going on than just what's on screen.
Right. And that approach has its own charm. Though I have to wonder, does this kind of rhetoric really get us closer to understanding the truth, or does it simply inflame passions?
That's the $1 million question. On one hand, the blunt language forces us to question everything. On the other, it might oversimplify a very complicated geopolitical puzzle.
Yeah, and it's like balance is key. While his statements are catchy and ignite discussion, they might bypass the deeper layers of the issues at hand.
True, although that's kind of the challenge of today's political commentary, right? Combining raw passion with careful nuance is tough work.
It's like if you're too diplomatic, the message gets lost, too firebrand, and you risk divisiveness. It's a fine line.
Yeah, exactly. And regarding the Trump Putin summit, he argued that the media's portrayal strips it of any real substance, turning it into like a sideshow that distracts from the real underlying dynamics of power and profit.
And that's a perspective that really questions the status quo, isn't it? It forces you to ask who really holds the power when these narratives circulate.
Right. In a way, his
Yeah,
commentary shines a spotlight on the disconnect between public perception and the actual political and economic drivers at work behind the scenes.
exactly. It's a reminder that what we see on the news is often a curated version of a far more complicated reality.
Yeah, and while his style might be divisive to some, it certainly stokes the kind of debate we need in these turbulent times. It pushes us to take a closer look beyond the surface.
Definitely. And it does make you wonder about the role of independent media and um, alternative voices in challenging the dominant narratives we've grown so used to.
Absolutely. It's like he's using his platform to, well, dismantle the comfortable myths perpetuated by the power structures. It's a call to critical thinking.
But at the same time, by polarizing the issue so strongly, one might argue that it could contribute to further polarization, not necessarily leading to a constructive dialogue.
I get that. It's a balancing act, stirring up passion without shutting down conversation altogether. And, well, maybe his approach is designed more to energize his base than to bridge divides.
That's true. After all, a lot of people are drawn to commentary that feels um, unfiltered and confrontational. It speaks directly to a sense of disenfranchisement.
Right, and whether you agree
Yeah,
with him completely or not, his monologue definitely makes you re examine the motivations behind both political leadership and media coverage.
exactly. And bringing it back to the broader picture, it's like this entire scenario, the summit, the war in Ukraine, the media spin, it's all interwoven in a complex dance of power, profit, and public perception.
Yeah, totally. His piece, while it might be incendiary, really forces us to question the role of every player involved, from political elites to the very media that reports the news.
And ultimately, that's what makes discussions like these so important. They challenge us to look deeper and ask, what's really at stake here?
Exactly. It's messy, it's heated, but it's exactly the kind of conversation that needs to happen if we're ever going to untangle these global tensions.
Absolutely. And while his approach might not be everyone's cup of tea, it certainly shakes up the usual narrative, encouraging us to think critically.
So, in the end, his monologue isn't just about the Trump Putin summit or the war in Ukraine. It's a broader critique of how power and media interconnect to shape our very perception of global events.
And that's a powerful reminder that even in a digital age full of endless media streams, we need to stop and really question what we're being shown.
Definitely. It leaves us pondering whether this confrontational style, as polarizing as it may be, could eventually lead to a more informed and critically engaged audience.
For sure. And it sets the stage for further debate on how we can bridge that gap between, raw truth and balanced discourse.
Yeah, exactly. Whether you see his monologue as a rallying cry or a divisive tactic, there's no denying it forces us to confront the uncomfortable realities behind our political and media landscapes.
Well said. And that's something I think we can both agree is necessary for any progressive political dialogue today.
Absolutely. Thanks for this deep dive. It's been a real ride unpacking these complex issues.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in and engaging in such a thoughtful discussion. Looking forward to our next conversation.